When my grandpa asked me, "Do you like the house I bought you?" I froze. I stared at him, confused, waiting for him to laugh or tell me it was some kind of joke. But instead, his face fell, and he looked at my mother sitting next to me. That's when I noticed something in his expression I'd never seen before. Disbelief, anger, and heartbreak all mixed together. I said, "What house, Grandpa?" And the silence that followed was deafening. My mom's face turned pale, and her hands started trembling. I didn't know it then, but that single question would uncover one of the darkest, most heartbreaking betrayals in our family. Tell me honestly, what would you have done if you found out someone you love had stolen something meant for you? Let me back up. My name's Alex. I'm 27 now, but this happened a few years ago when I was 24. Growing up, I wasn't particularly close to my extended family. My dad left when I was 10, and it was just me and my mom after that. She worked hard, and I admired her for it. She was a single mom doing her best, and though we didn't have much, she always made sure I had enough. My grandpa, her father, was kind of our lifeline. He was old, school, the type who believed in family loyalty and hard work. He ran a small construction business for most of his life and managed to save a decent amount of money. He lived modestly, but he often told me, "Alex, I've got plans for you. I just want to see you stand on your own 2 feet." After college, I was struggling to get by. I had a job in marketing, barely making rent, and I felt like a disappointment sometimes. My mom was still renting a small apartment and often hinted that Grandpa might help us out someday. I never asked for much, but I knew Grandpa loved me. We talked often on the phone. He'd always ask about my work, my health, my dreams. He even told me once, "When I go, I don't want you to worry about a thing." At the time, I thought he just meant emotionally, like a comforting grandparent thing. But now I realize there was more behind those words. One Saturday, he invited me over for lunch. I drove to his place, and when I got there, my mom was already sitting in the living room, sipping tea. Grandpa was in great spirits, smiling, moving around more than usual. After lunch, he sat me down, put his hand on my shoulder, and asked that fateful question, "Do you like the house I bought you?" I laughed awkwardly. "What house?" I said, thinking he might be joking or confused, but his smile slowly disappeared. He turned to my mom and said in a low, shaky voice, "You didn't tell him." My mom looked like she had seen a ghost. She mumbled something about bad timing and needing to explain later, but Grandpa wasn't having it. He demanded she tell me right then. My mom refused, and that's when he lost it. He raised his voice, a rare sight for such a gentle man, and said, "I gave you the money to buy Alex a home. Where is it? Where did it go?" My world stopped spinning for a moment. I looked between the two of them, my stomach twisting into knots. My mom stammered, "Dad, I was going to handle it. It's complicated," but he cut her off. "Don't you dare lie to me, Sarah. Apparently a year ago, Grandpa had given my mom over $180,000, money he'd saved his entire life, to buy me a small starter home in a quiet neighborhood. He even had a specific property picked out. My mom had told him she'd handle the paperwork and surprise me later once it was all done. But now, sitting there in that room, I realized there had been no house, no surprise, nothing. Grandpa turned to me with tears in his eyes and said, "Son, I gave her everything I had left for you." I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. My mom started crying, saying she'd used the money for us. But Grandpa wasn't convinced. He demanded bank statements, receipts, anything. She refused to show him. That's when I stood up and asked her directly, "Mom, what did you do with the money?" She broke down and admitted she had invested it in a friend's business, hoping it would double, so she could buy a bigger house and make it a surprise. Except the business failed. The money was gone, all of it. Grandpa looked like his entire world had shattered. He stood there, gripping the edge of the table for support. Then, in the quietest, most broken voice, he said, "You stole from your own son." My mom tried to explain, saying she did it for me, but the more she spoke, the worse it got. I was furious, but I didn't yell. I just felt hollow. How could my own mother do this? How could she betray both me and her father? After that day, things spiraled fast. Grandpa stopped speaking to her for a while. He called me later and apologized over and over, saying he should have handled it himself, that he never should have trusted anyone else with it. I told him it wasn't his fault, but he was devastated. Over the next few weeks, my mom kept trying to talk to me, saying I didn't understand, that she thought she was doing the right thing. But there's a difference between making a bad choice and betraying someone's trust. One night, I decided to visit Grandpa again. I wanted to tell him I didn't blame him. When I arrived, I found him sitting in his armchair, looking through some papers. He told me he'd been revisiting his will. I can't take it with me, he said with a weak smile, but I can make sure it goes to the right person this time. I tried to tell him not to worry, that I didn't want anything, but he just patted my hand. I've lived a long life, Alex. I've made mistakes, but I won't let this one stand. A few days later, my mom found out he was changing the will and went ballistic. She accused me of turning him against her, saying I was manipulating him. She screamed that she was the one who had taken care of him for years, not me. But that wasn't true. Grandpa had lived independently and only needed help occasionally. It became clear that she was terrified of losing control, of losing the inheritance she thought was guaranteed. At this point, I need to stop and ask you, what would you have done if your own parents stole your future and then tried to make you feel guilty for uncovering it? Would you forgive them, or would you cut them off completely? Because that's the crossroads I was standing at. Grandpa begged me not to fight with her. He said, "You can't choose your family, Alex, but you can choose how you respond." I wanted to believe him, but my trust in my mother was shattered. A month passed, things quieted down, but the tension remained. Then one afternoon, Grandpa called me over again. When I got there, he handed me an envelope. Inside was a deed. My heart nearly stopped. It was a house. A small, cozy, 2-bedroom home on the edge of town. I went to see the bank. He said, "I used what little I had left and took out a reverse mortgage. It's in your name now." I tried to refuse, saying he didn't have to do that, but he insisted. "I want to see you settled before I go," he said softly. "It's my peace of mind. When I told my mom about it, she lost it again. She said I was taking advantage of him, that I didn't deserve it, and that I was ruining the family. I reminded her that she was the one who took the first step down that road. The argument got heated, and for the first time in my life, I told her to leave me alone. I couldn't deal with the manipulation anymore. I needed peace. A few weeks later, Grandpa's health started declining. He had a heart condition and had been hiding how bad it really was. I spent every weekend with him, helping around the house, cooking meals, and just talking. Those last few months were some of the most meaningful of my life. We laughed, we cried, and he shared stories from his youth I'd never heard before. One night, as I was about to leave, he grabbed my hand and said, "Promise me something. Don't let money destroy your heart. It's just paper, but family, once that breaks, it's hard to fix." I promised him, and I meant it. A month later, he passed away peacefully in his sleep. It broke me. The funeral was small but beautiful. My mom showed up, but we barely spoke. She looked tired, older somehow. After the ceremony, the lawyer read Grandpa's will. He had left the remainder of his assets to charity except the house, which was officially mine. My mom stormed out when she heard that. I stayed behind, numb, trying to process everything. In the months that followed, I tried to heal. I moved into the house Grandpa bought me. Every time I walk through the front door, I can almost hear his voice, calm and kind, saying, "I just want you to stand on your own 2 feet." I started a small business from home, using the skills I'd learned in marketing, and slowly, life began to stabilize. But the wound my mom left that took much longer to fade. Eventually, she reached out. She said she wanted to make things right, to rebuild our relationship. I agreed to meet her cautiously. Over coffee, she broke down and apologized truly this time. She said she'd been desperate, scared, and greedy. She had always felt overshadowed by Grandpa, and wanted to prove she could do something big for me. But in doing so, she ruined everything. I told her I forgave her, but that forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. "Trust takes time," she nodded, tears streaming down her face, and said she understood. Now, years later, our relationship is better, but not the same. I still love her, but there's a distance between us that wasn't there before. The funny thing is, that house, the one Grandpa gave me, became more than just a place to live. It became a reminder of the lessons he taught me, about honesty, family, and legacy. Every corner of it feels like a piece of him, and sometimes when I sit on the porch at sunset, I swear I can still feel his presence watching over me. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that love and trust are the real inheritance. Money can come and go, but once someone betrays you, that scar stays. My grandpa left me more than a house. He left me wisdom, strength, and a reminder of what true family means. So, what do you think? Was I right to distance myself from my mom after what she did? Or should I have been more forgiving from the start? Let me know what you'd have done in my place, and if you were on my side through this story. Hit that like button, it really helps the channel out. Don't forget to subscribe for more real-life stories like this one, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I can't wait to hear what you all think. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.